Hello and welcome back to Crafty Learns Spanish. Yes, today we're going to look a bit about something you already know but you don't know. Yes, you know it but you don't know it for some strange reason. So there's some great news and some slightly bad news, not much. The great news is you know hundreds of words already just by knowing English, which is the great thing. And we're going to look at these. As you can see, we have a big list of stuff. And the slightly bad news is that occasionally a word, it's probably about 1 in 100, 2 in 100 cases, it might change the meaning. So, sometimes it's a bit funny. But we'll go through a few examples like that. So, for example, we're going to look at the words in English, and we're going to look at how you pronounce them in Spanish, obviously, because obviously, if you've followed the thing, you know the pronunciation obviously changes. So basically, we're looking here at this one, words that end in something. Now, generally, a lot of them come from Latin, or we've taken them from different things like Greek, and so have Latin has taken from Greek, and Latin has come from us from French, and blah 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 blah, and also Latin. Because Spanish is a Latin-based language, it has the same words, which is great. And I think things like French and Portuguese and Italian has it as well. So once you learn these words, they're very good. So we're gonna go in order and just have a look at them, quickly see. There are exceptions, and if I remember some or if I know some, I will point them out. But it's not necessary to remember them, because once you start studying and looking at things, you will see that they use different words. It's just at the moment you need a good influx of vocabulary to make you feel a bit more comfortable. Hey, saying I know a couple of 100, maybe 1,000 words in Spanish, like that. Nothing. You just got to know what it is in English and the little patterns that they use. Okay, so we will begin the first one with words that end in "ion", like action in English. Now there are a lot of words in this, so this is probably your biggest group of words that you will use. And to be honest, there's only 2 or 3 words that that change in Spanish, and probably you're not going to use them for a while, so don't worry about that. For example, translation, which is a relevant word, they don't say translación, they say traducción, because the verb is traducir and not trans, whatever it would be, we think it might be. So that's an exception, you see. And there's 2 or 3 out of probably more than 100, which is not too bad, So we have all these words. Now in Spanish, if you notice this, sometimes we have this shun. It's the shun in English, and the shun becomes the un. Right, and we have an accent on the O, right? And that's the important thing. All these words have accents on the O. So if I say the word motivation, right, and let us just write it here. In Spanish, of course, right? Remember how we clip it into syllables and say motivación, on. You've got to hit that on word, because usually it would be in the "the" if it didn't have accent, and that would sound like motivación, and that sounds strange. Motivación, on. Usually when you get these accents at the end of word, it's more like a punch with your voice. You got to punch it out. Sounds a bit strange. Motivación. It's like doom, doom, boom, and you'll get that out. So that's how you pronounce them, and you can think there's lists and lists of words you can think of this. information, información. So for example, if I want to say I need information, now remember need was necesitar, and I need necesito, because it's a regular verb. We looked at this. So necesitar, we have to conjugate it, so we take the AR off and put O on because it's me at the end. Necesito, because it ends in a vowel, the stress is on the second to last syllable. Necesito información. ¿Eh? Por favor, necesito información. Yeah, there you go. You've got lots of words, and you're going to start using them. Okay, let's go to the next one. These ones, the NTY. So you get these faculty, for example. There's a few words, not a great amount, but there's a few. You know, the problem is when you try to think of examples, they just escape you. This is why I wrote lots of examples down here, because otherwise they would just escape me. And in Spanish, they end it with daf. Remember, the D is a th on the end of a word. Like in not Madrid, we say Madrid, not Madrid, Madrid. So it's facultad, facultad. Now the stress on the ku, because yeah, that's right. No, facultad. That's the stress is here because it ends in a D, isn't it? That's right. Facultad. Okay. So they have, for example, one has just come to me. Enormity, enormidad. So you have the enormity of the situation. Let's see. Oh yes, and I forgot to mention this above. All these words are feminine, so it's always la. So for example, we wanted to see the enormity of the information. We know this of de, right? La, and these are also feminine. So la enormidad de la información. La enormidad de la información. Okay. And necessity. La necessity. That was done twisted. Necesidad. The necessity. I find that difficult in English. Never mind Spanish. Necesidad de la información is muy importante. It's very important. So that's necessary. Next one. And we talk about necessary. Any words that end in airy. And these are more adjectives. So it is necessary. And we say necesario, because we have the accent there. Necesario. Okay. Es muy necesario. Muy in Spanish is very. Muy. M-U-Y or M-U-Y. It's muy necesario ir. It's very necessary to go. Muy necesario. So you got a few words in these, necessary, and you'll find them. I mean, I can't give the whole words because it would just be it would take about 20 lessons to give probably one list. But it's all right. Here we have some more adjectives. And adjectives, just I'm not assuming that you don't know or know adjectives, but adjectives just describe things. You just got to remember that. So they usually we put them in English before words. In Spanish it's different, but we'll do a little lesson on that. Don't worry. So these words like normal, and we're just changing, it's the same, normal, normal. So the accent is at the end, al, normal. Okay, if I say normal, no, it's normal. So it's a little punch at the end, normal. Yeah, so if I want to say it's not normal, no es normal. No es normal. So there you go. And there's quite a few of these ones, like formal, normal, informal. The only thing is with the normal, with the abnormal, they have, I'm trying to think, sometimes when we put things in the negative, for example, unnecessary, we'll look at the one above, we say unnecessary, while they say innecessary, innecesario. We use an I instead of things. So don't try, just try the words you know, and if try not to worry about the negatives, because abnormal here, subnormal, when you add things on, you're gonna become mixed up. But normal, formal, canal is the same, canal. Oh yeah, and that's not a word, but that's a noun as well. El canal, la canal. So there you learn something every day. The next one we look at is IVE, as in addictive. In Spanish, adictivo. The thingy is there. Now, my accents, I have a problem putting accents when I write, because I never learned through written or through textbooks. I've always listened, and so for me writing is very bad. Adictivo, so when I have to think, when I listen to it, adictivo, the T sounds more, so I use that, the tivo, so it must be there. So addictive, any of these words that are an IV, usually IVO, because and when we'll talk about the adjectives, it can be an A as well, depends if it's masculine or feminine, but don't worry about that. ANCE, so words, and I should really A or ENC, because we have experience, and that was experiencia, distance, distancia. So they end in enthia and anthia, where we got ants and ents. Experience, ants, distancia, experiencia, experiencia. Yeah. Es una experiencia ir a la playa. It's an experience to go to the beach. Remember the playa? Or we could say vamos. No, let's get you to do it. We are going to have an experience today. Okay, we are going to have an experience today. What would that be? Try it. Vamos a tener una experiencia hoy. Hoy is today. Hoy. Okay. So the next set is these words that end in CY, and I think these are the Greek words. So we have democracy, for example, in democracia. There's a few, not lots in these words, but don't worry about that. So democracy, democracia. Democracia. Now listen, I'm going to say this word, and I don't know whether the accent is, so I haven't written it. Democracia. Democracia. So I think maybe they might run. Yeah. Democracia. Democracia. No, you see. So I've got it wrong. Democracia. It's this one, democracia. So yeah, I'm learning as well. See? You always learn, especially when you go back to the basics. You learn your basics. It's incredible. So next one we have ENT, the ends in it. So intelligent would be not me, but it sounds inteligente, gente, inteligente. Alright. So we have any word that ends in ENT, the majority, not all. I can't say all, 90% maybe. Inteligente. You'll have that word. Okay, the next one is the bleu, and this, I think this is the same because this is very Latin. So if we remember, we began with possible, possible, impossible, impossible. This one probable, probable, because we have to do the stress there because it ends in a vowel. Probable. Okay, improbable. And things like that. The only thing is, I think when you have to watch out is for table, because these are more like when it becomes a noun, these are adjectives. But when, for example, visible, visible, invisible, invisible. But table, and they don't call like the table, the table that you eat on. They call a different name. But like you see how this is a table, they call this a tabla, as in more like a tablet, maybe a tabla. You see, so you have to be careful with that. These are adjectives, so that's the difference. And east, right? Optimist, optimista, pessimist, pessimista. Okay. Communist, comunista. No soy comunista. No, I'm not communist. I'm not communist. So these are vocabulary I already know. Okay. In the course of talking, if you try now and remember all the words that begin with, for example, I-O-N, you're not going to remember them. Okay. But in the context, when a word comes up and you want to say something, you'll remember the rule more than anything else. And if, for example, you say a word, for example, I'll give you an example with this. Casualty, right? This is what we call a false friend. A false friend is where it sounds the same but has a different meaning. Okay? So it will sound the same or look the same in another language, so it looks like a friend, but it's not. It's false, the nasty ones. So casualty would be casualidad, right? Casualty, and casualty is more like we use it as a casualty, they use it more like a coincidence. It was a bit of a coincidence, casualty, and I think we do, but not very often. You tend to hear it more with when somebody's hurt. It's a casualty, or is it just me not knowing? You never know. So here is a list. There are more words for example, you'll get a lot of words in Spanish that English people that have taken from English, because English is becoming more and more popular. And so that when a language was popular, it's like with French. When French was popular in England, we took a lot of French words. So that's why we learned French in school as well, because we had to. And same with Spanish. Now all Spanish people are learning English, so there becomes a lot of English into their language. And I think I mentioned this a few days back because I heard it just recently. For example, flashback in English is flashback. You can say email, un email, and people know what you're talking about. Internet. So all these modern words that are being introduced. For example, we say Wi-Fi for the wireless internet connection. They say Wi-Fi because they pronounce it like they read it, Wi-Fi. And so anything modern you will find, for example, tablet, like pad or whatever you call them. The tablets are called tablets. Un tablet. Yeah. So anything modern, anything new, you can usually generally get away with that type of vocabulary. So don't worry about it, and try and remember just the endings here. This is the most important one, the endings. And if you get, you say, there's an ending, I'm going to try. And if you try, it's better to try and fail than never to try at all. Okay? Because there are lots of words which are the same. And you will most likely 90% be correct. If you're not correct, doesn't matter. You make a mistake, and I've done this plenty of times. So people just say what, or in Spanish they say que, and then you just try and repeat it, or you describe it. It doesn't matter. But this helps you a lot, yeah, because it gives you a lot of words, and Spanish use these type of words a lot. It's because they're part of the Latin background, so they're very, very common, and you will need them. So there you go, free vocabulary, and it doesn't cost you much to learn. All you have to learn is the way to say it. So remember, we've looked at how to say it, if you want to rewind, rewind and go back. You should always do this with how something sounds. If you don't know this, it sounds, practice it, repeat it, turn back the video and repeat the video. It doesn't matter, as long as you get it. You want to democracia, experiencia, distancia, adictivo, normal, necesario, facultad, acción, probable, optimista. Yeah, just practice. Optimista, probable, optimista. You see, just repeat and repeat, and don't do it in your head. This is the worst thing you can do. Do it out loud, okay? Because you have to train your mouth muscles in your mouth to do it in your tongue. It's not just a mental thing, it's a physical thing. Experiencia. So when we're doing the th, it's a physical thing, it's not a mental thing. Facultad, th. You have to get the th. Okay? Acción. It's a mental thing. It's a physical thing, not a mental thing. Excuse me. So there you go. I hope you get something from this, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.